Very good evening to you from Selhurst Park in South London on Talk Radio and the Talksport app. Ian Danter here, former England women's striker Leanne Sanderson is alongside me for full live commentary coming up of Crystal Palace against Aston Villa. The last time Crystal Palace won here in front of their own in the Premier League was right at the start of November against Brentford. But they are winless in 7 in all in the Premier League, losing at Newcastle last time out. And boy oh boy have they got squad problems, as Oliver Glasner has tried to guide this Palace team through 3 competitions including European football, but the squad has suffered. 11 regulars, we make it, unavailable for selection, 2 of whom dropped out after the game at St James's Park. Nathaniel Klein with a groin problem and concussion has deprived Glasner of Jefferson Lerma tonight. So 2 changes made by Palace, JD Canvo and Justin Devenny coming in. Aston Villa, who've won 9 out of their last 10 in the Premier League, might go second again tonight in the table above Manchester City. Well, they will if they better City's result. They also make 2 changes from last time out, bringing in Luca Digne and Jadon Sancho in for Ian Matson and Emwy Buendia. So quickly the lineups for Palace: Dean Henderson in goal, 3 at the back, JD Canvo, Maxence Lacroix and Mark Gahey. Then Justin Devenny, Adam Wharton, Will Hughes and Tyreek Mitchell across midfield. Brennan Johnson on his home debut, along with Yeremy Pino in behind Jean-Philippe Mateta, who's got a very good goal-scoring record against Villa in attack. As for Villa, Emi Martinez, the keeper, Matty Cash, Ezri Konsa, Victor Lindelof and Luca Digne in the back 4, Boubacar Kamara and Yuri Tielemans holding, John McGinn, Morgan Rogers and Jadon Sancho behind Ollie Watkins in attack. We are sat at the back of the old main stand here at Selhurst Park. To our right, the Holmesdale Road end, where the Palace Ultras make the most noise. The White Horse Lane end to our far left, as Palace are attacking that end. The White Horse Lane end to our left in the first half, in their traditional home strip of blue and red striped shirts, blue shorts and socks. Villa in their change strip of white with a little bit of light blue around the shoulder. So Villa will be attacking the Holmesdale Road end to our right in this first half from our perch at the back of the main stand. Leanne Sanderson, what are you expecting from a game where we've got a clash in styles, a 4-2-3-1 against a 3-4-2-1?
Yeah, definitely, Dance. I mean, I'm looking forward to this one. I think you look at this Crystal Palace side, if you'd asked me this question a couple of months ago, I'd have said, Palace were pushing up there. I remember myself and Darren Ambrose, I was saying they could be potentially making, the Champions League spots. And now look at them, way down in 14th place, Willison 7. So, but I tell you what, one player I said I love, that's John McGinn, makes this team tick. I know he got left out of the team against Arsenal, but what a player he is. One of those unsung heroes.
Came back and scored in Villa's last game and looked very much the man in form. Kept his place tonight. As I mentioned, just 2 changes made from either side. Palace coming forward with JD Canvo getting an opportunity as one of the 3 centre-halves tonight. Floated downfield. Ezri Konsa will find Morgan Rogers, flicks it back to Boubacar Kamara, and Villa working it out to the left-hand side, and Luca Digne level with the 18-yard line as Villa are attacking the Holmesdale Road end. It's played behind the referee Andy Madley, who neatly shifts out of the way. Matty Cash just back from a long-term injury to resume his right-back role for Aston Villa, who haven't won their last 4 Premier League meetings against Crystal Palace. Bit of a bogey team of late, the Eagles have been for the Villa. Here's Jadon Sancho picking up a lovely crossfield pass aimed his way. He's level with the area, right-hand side, but he runs into Tyreek Mitchell, who gets his foot in for Palace and then wins a throw off Sancho on this near side, right in front of our commentary position. 2 minutes gone, 0-0.
Yeah, I've done a lot of games for Villa this year, Dance, and I think when I look at this Villa side, beginning of the season, they couldn't buy a win. Then I think the Europa League has really been a massive catalyst. We did the Bologna game, and then they went on that incredible run, won all 7 games in front of them. And I think it's interesting tonight because Emre and Ollie Glasner have both been linked to Manchester United now. Ollie Glasner's future has been debatable for a number of times. Now, could this be Mark Gahey's last game for Crystal Palace? So we'll have to wait and see. But I think this Villa side are in an unbelievable run of form.
All sorts of whys and wherefores over the course of the next couple of weeks with the transfer window open and managerial vacancies very much afoot, although one of those has been filled with Chelsea getting Liam Rossignol in, and they've just kicked off at Fulham. I'll keep you updated with goals going in elsewhere around the grounds with the multiple 7:30 kickoffs And all the games are available on the Talksport app tonight, and Burnley Manchester United will be available on Talksport at 8:15, and on Talksport 2 you can get hold of the London derby between Fulham and Chelsea. Villa in possession with Yuri Tielemans, hitting a long ball downfield, looking for Watkins, inside left channel, keeps it away from Justin Devaney, works it back for Luca Digne. Lovely run from Rodgers on the half turn, left hand corner of the area, tried to get into the box, but Adam Wharton got a vital foot in, and the goalkeeper Dean Henderson can plunge on top of the ball. It's not classed as a back pass, and he can clear his lines. It's 0-0.
Yeah, I think JD Cambro there. I think at times, when he's played this season, he's looked quite not at the level yet for me. When I watch him play, in that situation there, Dance, he goes for the ball, he's out of position. That ball should have never got to Ollie Watkins in the first place. So I think definitely something in his back three they're going to have to look at.
Brendan Johnson wants the ball played up to him in halfway, receives it, turns it neatly to the right hand side, and Devaney tries to release Mateta over the top, but that's well dealt with by Ezri Konsa at the back for Villa, and Emi Martinez can pick the ball up just inside his own 18-yard line. So Villa could go second tonight in the table, behind Arsenal, who play Liverpool tomorrow live on Talksport, but they've got a better Manchester City's result. City are at home to Brighton tonight in one of the other 7:30 games. This busy night of Premier League action across the Talksport network. Worked out by Villa out to the left-hand side. It was Lindelof back in favour at centre-half. No Pau Torres yet back, and Tyrone Mings, another medium to long-term absentee for Unai Emery. Both managers patrolling the edge of their technical area. Emery, as usual, ants in his pants, directing operations down there.
I quite like that though, Dad. With these two teams, I think what you can see is a clear game plan of what they're trying to do. I know Ollie Glasner's battling with a lot of injuries right now, 11 first-team players being out, but you can see exactly what they're trying to do. They have their game plan, they have their philosophies, they're not also like those types of coaches that don't stray away from that. They're not rigid in what they're trying to do. I think Villa against Arsenal, they got completely undone, but these things happen. But another player I think is a major catalyst is Tielemans in the midfield for Aston Villa. I think him being back, he can orchestrate everything. Emi Martinez is taking an eternity on the ball right now, much to the dismay of these Sellers.
He's playing chicken with Jean-Philippe Mateta, saying, come and take the ball off me, as he had it just outside his own 18-yard line. Eventually he has it back, and clearly they're not keen to press up on the goalkeeper. Now Mateta does, and Martinez plays it to his right for Konsa, works it up to McGinn, shields the ball brilliantly off Wharton, and works it out to this right-hand side for Jadon Sancho, and McGinn's gone again in the inside right channel, tucks it infield for Camara spots Digne in space, left-hand corner of the area, sends the cross into the box, Henderson punches clear with both fists, and Palace should clear their lines as Mateta just knocks it down for Brennan Johnson. Could be a counter on here for Crystal Palace. It's worked wide by Johnson for Devaney, who gets up over the halfway line. Mitchell has gone on a long run on the opposite side of the field, the near side to us, but he's not being used. Instead, it's Adam Wharton who picks up possession, and it's back now with Lacroix in the centre circle, 0-0.
That was quite strange, really, because you could see Tyreek Mitchell was looking for that ball, but it just never came, and it was almost like a half-hearted run. It wasn't purposeful down this left-hand side. But another player I really like is Lacroix. I think often at times I think he's in Mark Gahey's shadows, but I think he's very consistent for this team. And I think Brennan Johnson's been a decent signing. I'm looking forward to seeing him how he does in his first home game that he's got. I think it's a decent signing for the price as well.
Yep, £35 million to bring him from Tottenham Hotspur right at the start of the month, and he's just tried to rob the ball off Tielemans but fouled him bang on halfway, says Andy Madley. So Villa get a free kick. We played 6.5 minutes on Talksport and Talk Radio and the Talksport app, and Tottenham, who I've just mentioned, have got the lead through Matisse Tell at Brentford. That's the first goal of the night going in the Premier League. That's live on the app as well. Bournemouth, not Brentford. Bournemouth 0, Tottenham 1. On a very sad day for Tottenham fans with the passing of their great striker for both Tottenham and England, Martin Chivers, who sadly passed away at the age of 80. They're wearing black armbands in his memory this evening are the Tottenham players. 0-0 here at Selhurst Park on a chilly, clear night in South London. Villa in their white chain strip worked the ball up to Ollie Watkins, but Lacroix stepped in front of him. But Villa have it back. Tielemans just trying to chip it down the right-hand side looking for Sancho. But Palace get it clear. Neat football from Palace to get it up to Mateta on halfway, but then Matty Cash comes across, and between Lindelof and Konsa, they can work the ball back once again to Emi Martinez. 0-0.
Yeah, well play. I mean, you have to be very patient with this Aston Villa team. Like I said, in their structure, how Emery sets them up. But I think what they're trying to do is drag Mateta out of position. You can see Concha's on the ball now, not any urgency to play through the lines, just trying to drag players out of position to be able to play through the lines. And Palace have to be, disciplined in their formation and their style, because these types of situations in that number 9 role for Mateta, you have a tendency to try and run out because you're getting frustrated that they're just kind of being pedestrian in the back line.
Villa in possession with Cash inside his own half, plays it left-footed over the halfway line. Gay makes a bit of a mess of the attempted clearance, and Jadon Sancho now has it for Villa down the right-hand side, approaching the Holmesdale Road, but he's carried it out of play right in front of the assistant on this near side, who is Dan Cook, and that's a throw for Tyreek Mitchell and Crystal Palace, 0-0.
Yeah, every time I do an Aston Villa game and Jadon Sancho starts, I always say, they need more from him. I think obviously he's come under a lot of scrutiny at times, sometimes deservedly so. I think there is a player in there, but we're all waiting for that to come out.
Here's Ollie Watkins picking up the loose ball for Villa, works it back from the touchline. Camara then plays it back out to the right wing, and Sancho, first time ball into the area, only half cleared. McGinn tries to bring it down, works it back to Camara outside the area, across to Dinho, can crack one goalwards, and it comes off the knee of Canvo, comes out to Cash, little touch for Boubacar Camara. Now back out to the Villa right wing, and Cash, who's fed by Sancho, but then he hits the ball against Gahey. It comes off Cash's face and goes behind for a goal kick. That's why he's got the wahey from the Palace fans in the Holmesdale end, 0-0.
Yeah, not something you ever want to happen as a player, but especially on a cold night like tonight. But it's good defending from Mark Gahey. He gets quite fortunate in the end and just kind of ricochets back off him onto Matty Cash. But it was a lovely overlap down this right-hand side. You could see Sancho picked up the ball, was waiting for... He almost knew Matty Cash was already there. That's what I love about Matty Cash. It will make that run. Jadon Sancho doesn't even have to look. And just to finish off that about Sancho, he's 25 now. He's not a young kid anymore.
Not at all.
And I think at times, sometimes you just have to let your football do the talking.
That's Leanne Sanderson, former England women's striker, alongside me, Ian Danter, here at Selhurst Park. You're with Talk and the Talksport app on this big night of Premier League football right across the Talksport network. Only one goal gone in so far. That's Spurs, who lead at Bournemouth. Villa try and work the ball in field with McGinn looking for Rodgers, but Palace pick it up. Adam Wharton inside his own half, tucks it back to Lacroix, the centre of the three centre-backs. Gahey plays it out to Mitchell on this near touchline, right on halfway. He knocks it back for Gahey once more into the centre circle for Adam Wharton, another of the prized assets that Crystal Palace have in their ranks. I'm not sure that anybody's going to come in for Wharton this window, but certainly I think when we get to the summertime, he's going to have a few clubs chasing him.
Yeah, proper footballer. I could watch him all day. I don't think I had a true understanding of just how good he is until I've watched him play live a number of times this year. And credit to Sir Gareth Southgate for picking him for the tournament, because no one expected Adam Wharton to be picked for England at that time. He was kind of an unknown, and when you watch him play, he manipulates the ball amazingly well. He knows where the next move is, 2-3 steps ahead. He's got a massively bright future ahead of him.
Watched him at Blackburn coming through the ranks there along with his brother Scott. It was clear he was destined for bigger and better things sooner rather than later. And I think I saw one of his first appearances for Palace in the grudge match down at Brighton, and even though Palace were pretty woeful that day, he stuck out like a sore thumb in what was a pretty hefty defeat for Roy Hodgson's Palace. Now Villa have got a free kick at 0-0, 11 minutes gone in the centre circle. Tielemans has played it short to Sancho, who lofts it into the Palace area, headed up in the air by Lacroix, drops at the right hand corner of the box. McGinn scrapping for possession and loses out, and it's brought away down this left-hand side for Palace, and it was a Pino trying to win a throw, but it's been given as a Villa throw that Cash will take, 0-0.
Yeah, I mean, we're only 12 minutes into the game or so, and I haven't seen Morgan Rodgers be able to get on the ball really at all in between the lines. I think, he didn't start off the season greatly well, but he's been on a fantastic run of late, and I really enjoy watching him play. But I think, Crystal Palace is doing a really good job at occupying those spaces in front and delaying the ball into him.
There was a thought of a VAR check for a potential handball inside the Palace penalty area, but it's not being checked. Throw-ins taken, headed out the box by Canvo, drops onto the chest of Tielemans, centre of the Palace half, works it to his left for Deeney. Now Rodgers drifting down the left-hand side of the area. Canvo goes across, hits it against him, and out of play for a throw on that far side, the Arthur Waite stand. It's 0-0 on Talk, 12 and a half gone.
Good play from Canvo there. I've been quite critical of him this season. I think at times he gets dragged out of position, but I think in that situation there he had conviction, goes out to the ball, and now it's a throw.
Digne to take it does hurl it in quite long into the near post, but Mateta there to hoof it clear on the half volley, but there's nobody in a red and blue shirt up on halfway for Palace, so Villa can tidy up, and it goes back to Emi Martinez. Oliver Glasner unbeaten against Villa since he took the job here at Crystal Palace. He's won 5 of the 6 meetings in all competitions against Unai Emery since his appointment February of 2024, just under 2 years ago, and they've scored at least 2 goals in every game, Palace, although it's given the sheer number of injuries and loss of form, be a brave man that would put money on that tonight.
I'll tell you what, both of them look like that. They're orchestrating an orchestra down there, don't they? It's quite fascinating to watch. They're waving their arms, right, left. It's amazing. Yeah.
Both very similar in their gesticulations,
in
Glasner
unison.
and Emery. Yeah, it is almost. Here's Lindelof for Aston Villa. Out to the left-hand side, and Digne just shy of the halfway line. Plays into the feet of Rodgers, but he couldn't control it. Under pressure from young JD Canvo, so Palace get a throw over on the far side of the field. 14 minutes gone on the Talksport app and on Talk Radio. It is Palace 0, Villa 0. Wharton tries to get a piece of the throw, but it drops for Ezri Konsa in the centre circle. Mateta trying to close him down, but he fouls him. He thought for a moment that the referee wasn't going to blow his whistle there, Jean-Philippe Mateta, but as he lunged after the ball, the whistle went. Free kick.
That all came from a really poor throw from Devaney. He kind of signalled to Wharton in that moment. It's all small things like that. Like, I know throws have come under a lot of scrutiny this year, long throws, everyone says it's boring, but I think equally when you throw a ball into the midfield like that, it has to be good. It has to be so Wharton can kind of turn on it or cushion it down, and then they turn over the ball centrally.
I've never seen this many foul throws this season as I've seen in previous campaigns. It's weird. It's all on Sunday at Tottenham that was laughable. Tottenham lead at Bournemouth, and the only goal we've got so far on the 7:30 kickoffs. 0-0 here at Selhurst Park. We've played a quarter of an hour. Here is Canvo out to Devaney, right hand side. He came on for Nathaniel Klein at Newcastle. Klein with a groin problem. Concussion has kept Jefferson Lerma out tonight, which is why Canvo's on the ball now here as part of that back three for Palace. It's worked back for Lacroix in the centre circle. They've now got all Villa players back inside their own half defending. That's not happened often in this opening quarter of an hour. Mitchell has to go back to halfway under pressure from Cash to find Gehi. And back for Lacroix once again.
It's quite strange really, because obviously trying to have Tyreek Mitchell down his left hand side go 1v1.
As they go long looking for Mitchell, and he will control it down by the left hand corner of the penalty area. Gets it back from Pino, tries to win a throw I think off Cash. Cash does well, gets a bit of help from Sancho, and then it should be cleared by Camara, and is cleared, and it goes over the head of Pino, and Sancho can launch a bit of a counter-attack here for Aston Villa. McGinn plays it into Rodgers, but the first touch was heavy. Watkins can't get a piece of it, and Lacroix just hoofs it out of play for a Villa throw. You were saying Leanne Sanderson?
Yeah, I was saying that was the first time I've seen Mitchell he's getting out there quite early, Dan, as opposed to waiting. And then I think, Matty Cash is having a field day because he's just looking at him out his right hand side, and he can see he's already there. I think they need to delay that run just a little bit on this left hand side if they want to get Mitchell on the ball.
Wharton brings the ball down neatly just outside his own area, being hassled and harried by Watkins. So he plays a 1-2 with Mitchell, neatly flicks the ball up to Mateta on halfway, gives it back to Wharton, and Wharton sends Johnson away. The flag has stayed down. Johnson into the area. Good save, Martinez. 1-on-1 with the keeper. Threw up a right claw and put it over the crossbar for a corner to Crystal Palace, but that could and maybe should have been 1-0.
Has to score here for me, Dan. It's a fantastic ball from Adam Wharton both times, and I think I'm not sure why Brennan Johnson didn't take his touch across Lindelof. He kind of checks back on his favoured left side, we know, but then the opportunity then is wasted because he needs to cut across. And in a great way to start his home debut.
Would have been an awesome introduction to home supporters for the new man, the Welshman, having arrived from Tottenham. They haven't taken the corner yet, Palace. They won it about a minute ago. It's only now that Will Hughes is spotting it down where the Arthur Waite stand meets the White Horse Lane stand away to our left-hand side.
They delayed because Villa left 3 up top.
And they've only got 3 back rather than 4. Normally you outnumber those who are on the halfway line. So not as busy a penalty box as usual. In it comes from Hughes. Headed up in the air by Watkins, back defending. Cleared away and nodded back into the box by Pino. Mateta helps it across the area. Half volley cleared by Digne. Now can those three Villa players get onto it? Shy of the halfway line. Brought down by Tielemans. Tries to poke through the middle for McGinn, but Canbo is back to defend. And Palace retain possession, 0-0.
You can see what Tielemans was trying to do there. It was a really difficult ball. He has that in his locker, but it has to be pinpoint precision to be able to get John McGinn in.
Game's a bit stretched now, and offside flag goes up against Brennan Johnson, who's had the best chance of the game by a mile when put through for a super pass from Adam Ward. Flag stayed down, but the last touch before he took the shot made it more difficult for him to beat, but credit to Martinez, that was also a very, very good save.
Taking nothing away from the save, but I think Brennan Johnson has to do better in that situation. I think that's where he needs to take his game to another level. I think he's got fantastic pace, always showed a lot of ability. When he was at Forest, didn't quite work out at Spurs. I was quite surprised at how quickly they got him out the door, to be honest, because I mean, this is a player that scored their winning goal in the final not too long ago. So, but at the same time, he's got a lot to offer, but those opportunities there, he has to put them in the back of the net.
I think he wants more regular football with the potential for a World Cup on the horizon if Wales make it through their playoff pathway in March. Palace won 3-0 at Villa Park back in August. You might remember when Villa had made a very, very sluggish start to the season. 1 point from their first 3 games, that they've won 13 of 17 Premier League games since then of Aston Villa. And Unai Emery, his team are very firm favourites for the Europa League. He is a serial winner of that competition. Michael Keane has put Everton in front against Wolves at Hill Dickinson Stadium, and one of the other 7:30 kickoffs. Still 0-0 here. We're just approaching the 20-minute mark at Selhurst Park, and the best chance of the game undoubtedly has just gone to the host, Brennan Johnson. One-on-one with the keeper, but Emi Martinez equal to it. Lindelof under pressure inside his own penalty area, works it back to Martinez, who calmly lofts it clear, but straight onto the head of Will Hughes. Devaney knocks it infield, but Villa will volley it clear. Rodgers went down on halfway, wanting a free kick, but nothing. Watkins, forgive me, who went down on halfway, pleading with Andy Madley that he was taken out of the game, but the referee wants nothing to do with it. Now, that was a bit of an unfortunate attempted crossfield pass from Jeremy Pino. Had an amble in his boot and it went out with one bounce for a Villa goal kick, 0-0.
Yeah, Ollie Watkins is not going to get a foul there. I think sometimes for Ollie Watkins, it's a good job John McGinn is making those third man runs centrally, because we know Ollie Watkins like to peel out to the left or the right, but at times when Tielemans is picking up the ball, all he sees is a number on the back of his shirt. And as a player, you need to be able to peel out to the side. If you're going to make that run, you need to be available, because there's a space centrally that he's not occupying.
Will Hughes trying to close down the goalkeeper Martinez. In fact, there's 3 Palace players trying to close down Martinez. Pino very nearly took the ball off his toe, but they have worked it outside the box now, Villa. And Cash charging down this near touchline, plays it up to halfway for McGinn. He lays it off for Camara. Camara gives it back to Morgan Rodgers, but Rodgers was surrounded by red and blue shirts, and now Mateta trying to bustle his way over halfway, but he's crowded out by white Villa shirts, and it's all gone a bit scrappy, 0-0.
Yeah, there's nothing Mateta can do there. By the time the ball comes to him, he's got 5 players around him. You know, he's the player that's dropping in almost to the halfway line. I think both these teams right now, they're just kind of cancelling each other out quite a bit, apart from the Brennan Johnson situation. We haven't really seen many clear-cut opportunities, and credit to Cambo, because I did give him a lot of, stick early on in the games. I think he gets dragged out of position, but he's doing a really good job on Morgan Rodgers as of yet.
Devaney dispossessed by Rodgers on that far left-hand side. It is Bournemouth 1, Tottenham 1. Evan Nielsen has equalised for the Cherries at the Vitality Stadium. 0-0 here at Selhurst. Camara goes down at the edge of the D, no foul. Will Hughes just calmly lays it off to Wharton, and a little triangular passage between those two and Pino, and Hughes just casually strokes it out to Devaney on the right hand side. I did a game watching Will Hughes in the Championship once, and Perry Groves, one of the funniest things he's ever said to me, says the only problem Will Hughes has got is if the wind gets up, it's going to blow his cigar out, because he just looks so
like
cool, calm and composed. Here's Hughes playing the ball up to the edge of the area, bounces over Pino's head, and Cash can hand it back via a header to his keeper. Chelsea are down to 10. Mark Cucurella has been red carded in the London derby at Fulham. Hello, Liam Rossignol. Welcome to English football. You know what it's like, mate. Life at Derby and Hull. But yeah, Cucurella gone. Chelsea down to 10 in the London derby. That's still 0-0 on Talksport 2 right now. So the goals we have: Bournemouth 1, Tottenham 1, and Everton 1-0 up on Wolves. Everything else goalless in the 7:30 kickoffs. Palace have won a throw-in as Cash tricked himself on this near touchline as much as anything else, and so Tyreek Mitchell will have the throw. I'm not sure whether Palace have a long throw specialist in the 11 tonight.
Do you know what, Dan? I don't think a lot of teams have a long ball specialist. I think they're kidding us, a lot of them, because sometimes the team's set up for the long throw and the players don't even have one, and then they don't even have someone they're like using as the target. I think obviously from Palace, Mateta would be that target.
He's an obvious target. One back by Canvo, very neatly, just shy of the halfway line. Played it up to Mateta, who tried to turn it around the corner with his back to goal, thinking somebody was going to make a run beyond him, but nobody in a red and blue shirt was able to do that. So Villa have it back. They won their last Premier League game against Forest on Saturday, did Villa. Ollie Watkins scoring for the third successive match, and McGinn, who Leanne Sanderson was waxing lyrical about, got his first ever Premier League brace in that 3-1 victory against Forest. Forest, who won live on Talksport last night at West Ham United with that last gasp penalty for Morgan Gibbs-White. Villa all in white tonight with Esri Konsa, surely going to the World Cup with England as a defensive option. Cash, the Polish international, plays the ball long downfield looking for Watkins. Good defending by Lacroix again. Got his head to the ball and got it away from the penalty area. Devaney helps it up to halfway, but Villa have won it back again. And Boubacar Kamara works it out to Matty Cash on this right-hand side, with Villa attacking the Holmesdale Road end in the first half. Tielemans, centre of the Palace half, fires it through to Watkins, takes on Henderson, and Henderson blocks it, and it's volleyed clear by JD Canvo. Just came out quickly, did Dean Henderson, as Watkins advanced to the edge of the 6-yard box, and he did really well, the Palace keeper. 0-0.
Yeah, well done, Dean Henderson. But I tell you what, Tielemans is a dream for a centre ball, because this ball through, and to be fair to Ollie Watkins, it was a really good take from him to take it in his stride. And I think Dean Henderson came off his line. You can hear what the Palace fans are singing, England #1. Not quite sure about that, but at the same time, like, it was a great save. Lovely ball, lovely run from Ollie Watkins. Credit to Dean Henderson.
Well, I don't know which is the better ball, the ball that Tielemans just hit for Watkins, or the ball that Wharton hit earlier for Brennan Johnson, but 2 one-on-ones have come to nothing, one for each side. We've played 25 minutes on the Talksport app and on Talk. It is Palace 0, Villa 0. Here comes Brennan Johnson down the right-hand side, but Konsa showed plenty of pace to get to the loose ball. Camera just outside his own area. Oh, looks for the invisible man down the left-hand side, and it's a throw into Palace in front of the travelling Villa fans in that far left-hand corner of the Arthur Waite stand as we look. We've got a real letterbox view here at Selhurst Park. The overhang of the main stand that we're sat in means we can only see the first 10 rows or so of the Arthur Waite stand, or indeed the other 2 stands around us. But as usual, noisy old place, Selhurst, on this Wednesday night. Here's Tyreek Mitchell, infield for Gahey. And he looks further forward for Pino, who takes the touch, just chips the ball into the area, onto Brennan Johnson, tried a volley and didn't connect. Swing and a miss from the Welshman. Lovely ball in though from Yeremy Pino, and it was the right idea from Brennan Johnson, but he just couldn't execute. Goal kick Villa, 0-0.
Yeah, lovely ball from Pino again. I mean, that's a massive opportunity, but I think it's a big ask. I mean, a player of top quality will probably be able to rocket that in the back of the net, but you're asking a lot there. You know, Brennan Johnson isn't Van Persie or those types of players in that moment, but it's a fantastic ball from Pino, cross diagonal. And I think that's both these teams right now, they seem to be cancelling each other out just a little bit. You know, Crystal Palace have to be disciplined, like I said, defensively when they're not trying to turn over the ball, but I think for Villa, they're quite happy to be pedestrian. Lindelof's picking up in the back line, Konsa, they're not in any type of rush, and they're trying to drag Palace out of position.
I find it interesting that they are, as you rightly say, Leanne Sanderson, cancelling each other out, because styles make fights. You've got a 3-4-2-1 in Palace against a 4-2-3-1. There should be an imbalance somewhere that can be exploited by either side in this game.
I think for Crystal Palace, they're doing a really good job because they're getting overloaded in the midfield, but I think, you know, Villa haven't really been able to find Kamara in that position. He's sitting a little bit deeper. I think Crystal Palace are being patient defensively, and then we're seeing Dean Henderson pick up the ball now. and they're not in any rush either. So it's almost like both teams, they're pressing. It's quite intense when they do have the ball, but at the same time, you know, they're quite happy for the goalkeepers and the back line to have the ball with not really any purpose going forward.
27 minutes gone on Talk and the Talksport app at Selhurst Park. Palace 0, Villa 0. Mateta making a nuisance of himself just outside the Villa box, but Villa deal with it and get it clear. Rodgers can't keep it in play though on that far side of the field again. The youngster JD Cambo, he made a nuisance of himself to stop Rodgers keeping it in play, and Palace have a throw at 0-0.
Cambo's doing a really good job out on that left-hand side. Morgan Rodgers having to drop a little bit deeper. Cambo is getting really, really tight to Morgan Rodgers, and he's getting in his face, which I like. But sometimes if you get too tight, Dance, you'll end up getting spun. So I think Morgan Rodgers needs to mix it up a little bit when he is picking up the ball, because I think Cambo's got him in his pocket right now.
Devaney works the ball back to Cambo on halfway on the far side of the field. Just plays it neatly back of the square to Lacroix. Across now to Gahey. 0-0. Approaching the half hour. Here on Talksport now, another long ball downfield looking for Brennan Johnson. He stopped himself for a moment. If he believed himself in a little bit more, he might have kept that in play, because Martinez has stayed at home and just broke his run for a moment there, Brennan Johnson. Not sure he was aware just how much that ball was holding up in the air from Gahey. It ends up being a goal kick to Aston Villa. Yeah, it was a lovely ball from Mark Gahey, and you're right, Dance. I think if he didn't hesitate and continue his run, he might have gotten the end of it. But he's showing a lot of good signs, Brennan Johnson. You know, he now needs to deliver the quality. You know, he's getting the minutes, he's starting. It's a fantastic football club, and I think he just needs to show his quality just a little bit more in those positions. But sometimes, you know, he's only been there a week or so. You need a little bit more time, get used to the players. He probably wasn't expecting that ball from Mark Gahey. It was a lovely cross-diagonal ball, though. But it came to nothing in the end. Ian Dancer and Leanne Sanderson with you on the Talksport app and on Talk Radio here till 10 tonight. It's 0-0 between Crystal Palace and Aston Villa. Villa in possession on the left-hand side again. Rodgers tried to be a bit clever on that far side and presented the ball straight to Adam Wharton. Another strong run from Mitchell down the left-hand side, but they've gone right instead to Brennan Johnson, who won't keep it in play. And Tyreek Mitchell, for the second time at least tonight, has made a lung-busting run down this near side to us, the Palace left, and hasn't been used. 0-0. I always feel sorry for full-backs. I mean, they make these purposeful runs and then have to go like 90-yard track back, get back in position, trying to make sure the ball doesn't go to Jadon Sancho. Adam Wharton there, I think he's done everything right in this opening 30 minutes, but just makes the wrong decision. I think the better ball was central to Mateta or to Mitchell. He tries to go right to Brennan Johnson, and then he just runs out of play. Heavy touch from Digne, but he managed to play a 1-2 with Rodgers on the Villa left-hand side. Brentford have the lead against Sunderland at the G-Tech in the Premier League. Igor Thiago. Can we have a word about how well Keith Andrews is doing and how he's shoving it up those people who thought he was going to be one of the shortest appointments in Premier League history? Yeah, he's doing a great job. I mean, he started off really well. Then there was a bit of a few bumps, weren't there, against Arsenal and Spurs. But I think, yeah, he's doing a fantastic job. And they lead the Black Cats by a goal to nil. Brentford, as it stands, are up to 5th in the Premier League table. I'll say that again. Brentford, as it stands, are in 5th. Mind you, there was a time early in the campaign when Bournemouth was 2nd. They're 1-1 with Spurs at the moment. And Everton 1-0 up on Wolves. Those are the goals we have for you so far on this busy night of Premier League, with all the matches available on the Talksport app. You can take your pick. Look for the live games tab, bottom right hand side of the Talksport app home screen, and pick your team. 0-0 here at Selhurst Park. 31 minutes played. Here's Morgan Rodgers down the left hand side of the area, tried to fizz it across the face of goal along the deck, but Devaney got an important touch, but Villa win it back. Rodgers again. Now he's at the left hand corner of the penalty area, having to run away from the box under pressure from Cambo, and back it goes to Lindelof. Everybody bar Martinez inside the Palace half. Here's Matty Cash, finds Sancho, first time ball clipped in field, but Hughes put it out of play for a Villa throw. 0-0. Cash will take the throw right down beneath our commentary position. Camera comes short. Cash neatly flicks it back to him to keep it away from Pino. Back it goes to Concert, and now Lindelof. Once of Manchester United, they're about to get underway in the next 10 minutes. Manchester United at Burnley in the Talksport 8:15 kickoff. Darren Fletcher in charge tonight. Bruno Fernandes back in the Manchester United starting 11. That is also on the Talksport app, as well as Talksport. Another throw to Aston Villa. 32 and a half minutes gone, still waiting for the breakthrough, but good one-on-one chances for either side. Brennan Johnson denied by a smart one-handed save from Emi Martinez. Ollie Watkins saw his attempted shot blocked on 6 yards by Dean Henderson. Now Palace have a bit of space to gallop into, right-hand side with Justin Devenny. There's 4 to his left, making forward runs for Crystal Palace. Devenny holds the ball up and under pressure from Tielemans, has to work it back to halfway.
See, Dan, that's where I think football's changed, right, in many different ways, because Devenny gets the ball, does really well down the right-hand side, just deliver it in the box.
Now a chip down the left-hand side by Gahey, looking for Mateta. He did chase after it gamely, but it skidded away off the playing surface and out of play for a goal kick. He might have been judged offside anyway.
But Mateta. I don't know why there's a reluctancy for players now to deliver an early ball into the box. There was about 6 players in the Palace box, and then he ends up checking back and going backwards. Like, I don't know why players now just have this reluctancy to play forward, play through the lines, play quick, deliver an early ball, because that was definitely a situation there where Aston Villa would have been in trouble.
Long ball downfield from Concert, looking for Rodgers. Devenny with an important flick header out of play. Will be a Villa throw level with the 18-yard line on their left-hand side as they attack the Holmesdale Road end, Villa, in this first half. Quickly thrown in by Digne for Tielemans. And he'll knock it back to Concert just in front of the centre circle. Plays the ball straight into the area, comfortably headed clear by Canvo. Poor touch from Wharton, allows Camera to get it back and loft it back out to Digne left-hand side. Now Rodgers lays it back off to Tielemans. Oh, lovely little ball back from Tielemans to Rodgers. Into McGinn at the edge of the area. Villa just playing little triangles of passing around the midway point of the Palace half. Now Cash knocks it back to Concert and Lindelof, the 2 centre-halves. And a quick ball from Lindelof out to Digne, left-hand side. Into the feet of McGinn, holding the ball up. Trying to feed it back through for Digne, but again, JD Canvo with the important put in for Crystal Palace. And Wharton gets his head up and then treads on the ball and loses possession. And Villa have it back. And it's Morgan Rodgers getting up to the edge of the area. Goes down under pressure from Canvo. In fact, Tielemans it was, forgive me, who went down. Canvo and Lacroix do a chest bump as they think, well, that's job done. And Tielemans lying flat on his back, very slowly getting to his feet. 0-0. What do you make of that, Leanne Sanderson?
Yeah, that's not a foul. I think they do a really good job. Tielemans goes down far too easily for me, and I think Canvo, Lacroix, Devenny have done a really good job down that right-hand side for Crystal Palace. I think they're doing really well. But yeah, there's nothing in that for me. You're not going to get a penalty there. And I think the referee played a really good advantage because Will Hughes went in really strong on John McGinn centrally, but it was a good advantage because Villa were on the counter.
I don't think there was any yellow card retribution for Will Hughes as a consequence of that. I think Bournemouth have gone in front against Tottenham Hotspur, coming from behind. Oh boy. Bournemouth 2, Tottenham Hotspur 1. That's live on the Talksport app tonight. And it's Junior Krupi who's put the cherries in front. Here is Canvo for Crystal Palace. Gives it back to Hughes on halfway. Back for Canvo once more. There's a line of Palace players towards the edge of the area. Crossfield ball actually very neatly headed back from Camera to his keeper. Mitchell was trying to steal in to the penalty area, but there was enough power on the header from Camera to get it back to his keeper. 0-0.
Yeah, good defending from Camera in that moment. You have to be nice and calm. And again, you know, Aston Villa picking up the ball, Concer's on it, not in any type of urgency. They're trying to break through the lines, trying to find a spare player centrally, but I just think there needs to be a bit better runs. Like Ollie Watkins, I think needs to get involved a little bit more. He's not really making any runs. He's staying in between Mark Gahey and Lacroix, and it's happy days for the centre-backs. If you're like centre forward, just going to stay in between you, not really going to cause any problems. John McGinn's been active, trying to get spared, trying to get free from Will Hughes. But other than that, I just think Aston Villa at times have been quite static in their movement.
That's the thoughts of Leanne Sanderson with me, Ian Danter, on Talk Radio and the Talksport app. About 7 minutes to half time. It is Palace 0, Villa 0. Villa in possession on halfway with Cash charging into the Palace half. He's got Sancho making strides down the right hand side, feinted to cross and then dragged the ball back onto his left foot, allowing Mitchell to stay goal side of him. Mateta managed to take the ball off camera and then showed great strength to hold off Sancho, Mateta, and then finds Devenny on the right hand side. And Devenny looks early to try and release Brennan Johnson down the inside right channel, but Digne gets there first and tucks it back to his goalkeeper. Great strength from Jean-Philippe Mateta when he first came to Crystal Palace, he looked raw as anything, but he's definitely trained on under a succession of managers here.
I've always felt like Crystal Palace have been a decent, solid Premier League side, but they never had someone who could put the ball in the back of the net. You know, Benteke never really quite hit. Edouard's not there anymore, coming with high hope. And the fact they've got someone now that can put the ball in the back of the net, I think it's a game changer.
And he likes putting the ball in the back of the net against Aston Villa. More on that as and when things happen for him tonight. Ball looking for Mitchell, left-hand side. He's overhit this time by Pino. And Villa get the throw in, but Oliver Glasner applauding the effort of his threadbare Palace squad. As I mentioned, it's pretty much all academy kids on the bench tonight, aside from Chris Richards and maybe Borna Sosa, the Croatian. You could say he's not a kid, but everybody else has had limited minutes either in Premier League or in Europa Conference League for Crystal Palace this season. We'll see how often Oliver Glasner goes to the bench tonight. Here is Canvo inside the centre circle, protecting the ball from Watkins, does well, tries to work it out left for Mitchell, but it was just intercepted in the nick of time by Sancho, but it won't run for Aston Villa. Lacroix tidies up and gives it back to Henderson. Heavy first touch, Watkins went to close him down, but he neatly found Lacroix. Early ball forward, won't find Pino. It's dealt with by Concert. Concert just keeps it away from Mateta, finds Rodgers in the centre circle, looks early for Watkins. Watkins rise to the challenge of Canvo. Watkins drives it goalwards and it's blocked away by Lacroix, and it will go out for a throw off the corner flag. Lovely ride of the challenge by Ollie Watkins, but Lacroix blocked the goal-bound shot. 0-0.
That is the one time we've been able to see Morgan Rodgers pick up the ball centrally, penetrate through the middle. It was a lovely ball to Ollie Watkins, and he does a lovely touch, Ollie Watkins, over Cambo. And I love the way Lacroix comes over, does a fantastic tackle, and he starts waving his finger saying, not today, straight after him. It was lovely defending from Lacroix.
Ends up with a Villa throw on the far side of the field. Dinier's going to take it about 5 yards from the corner flag, looks to hurl it into the near post. Watkins trying to hook it back over his head from the edge of the area, nods it back to Digne. Good first touch. That allows Rodgers to whip the ball in, and it was Sancho going in at the near post, but Lacroix there again for Crystal Palace to deny and head it clear. Lovely whip that was from Morgan Rodgers. Yeah, he really did put some swaz on that cross from the left-hand side, but Maxence Lacroix got there in the nick of time. Sorry, did I make you laugh with the word swaz?
Yeah, I know that for years, to be fair. I didn't think that would be coming out your mouth either, Dan.
I think I learned it off Ian Holloway. It's one of his well-chosen phrases. Here is Lindelof for Aston Villa. We've got just less than 5 minutes to half-time. Erling Haaland has scored a penalty or won a penalty? Scored a penalty for Manchester City against Brighton. Remember, Villa would need to better City's result if they wanted to go second in the table tonight. They're 0-0 here, City 1-0 up. Little back heel, gets Digne away down the left-hand side of the area. McGinn tries to turn with his back to goal, shows great strength. Camera knocks it down for Matty Cash with a drive, and it's deflected wide off Mitchell for a corner kick. Cash wants more. He thinks it was handled by Tyreek Mitchell, but a corner's been given. 0-0.
This will be interesting because we know Matty Cash can let the ball fly from that position. If this has hit his hand, I think it's going to be an interesting call, because the ball was, his hands were out the side of him. He caught it so well. Be interesting. They're going to check it obviously on the VAR. And you know what, Dan's right, we're starting to see last 5 minutes Morgan Rodgers is finally coming into the game a little bit more. Now it looks like it just hits his midriff, to be honest.
Yeah. It's going to be a corner kick right down to our right-hand side where the Holmesdale Road meets the main stand. Tielemans and McGinn both standing over this corner, be a left-footed or a right-footed delivery. McGinn runs over the ball. Tielemans will strike it then, right-footed away to the edge of the 6-yard box, hard volleyed away by Lacroix. Hughes leaves it for Lacroix to send it downfield. It's a straight race between Lindelof and Johnson, and Lindelof beats Johnson to the ball, does really well and keeps it in play on that far side. But then it's won back by Canvo for Crystal Palace. Now Wharton lays it off to Gahey on halfway, feeds it out left for Mitchell. 3 minutes of the first half plus added time remaining. Still goalless between Crystal Palace and Aston Villa. Canvo now making his way over the halfway line. Devaney's holding that far right-hand touchline, but instead it's gone back infield to Hughes. Now Wharton in the centre circle, got options right and left. Goes left for Gahey. Gahey puts his foot on the ball, thought about putting a diagonal ball into the edge of the box, but then lays it back for Hughes once again. He plays a short 1-2 with Adam Wharton. Hughes again plays a square ball to his right for Canvo. Now he plays the ball on the deck to Brennan Johnson. Johnson's got Devaney waiting for it right wing. Devaney up against Rogers. Does it again, doesn't put the ball in, works it back via Canvo to Lacroix, just in front of the centre circle. But Palace have got Villa hemmed in here for a moment. Gahey again, diagonal ball looking for Devaney, but it's going to go over his head, and on one bounce goes over the dead ball line for an Aston Villa goal kick. 2 minutes to half time. 0-0, Leanne Sanderson.
I mean, I just feel like it's just a bit predictable, Dance. Like, you know, I just want to see Crystal Palace taking more risks. Farrick Mitchell's coming up on his left-hand side. You know, you can see Mark Gahey was looking like he was going to play him. Then he doesn't play him. Then they go back inside. You know, just put the ball in the box. And to be fair to Palace, I think their back line has been excellent in this first half. I think Canvo, Devaney, I think are doing really well. I'd just like to see them take more risk going forward. Put the ball into the box. Put it where it hurts. If I'm Mateta at half-time, I'm saying, please, give me some service.
Just one shot on target apiece so far as we approach half-time at Selhurst Park. Victor Lindelof rolls it up to the halfway line. Rogers tucks it infield for Tielemans. He was immediately under pressure from Wharton. And Tielemans again knows he's got the Palace number 20 at his back. Rogers still inside his own half. Lovely ball into the centre circle for Camara. Now it's picked up by Sancho. Cash making a strong run down the right-hand side. Takes a touch in field. That allows Mitchell to get goal side of him once again. Cash being forced out to this near touchline. Still did really well to work it in field for Boubacar Camara. Works it back to Sancho, desperately trying to get the ball under control at the right-hand corner of the penalty area. Leaves it for Cash. Now Tielemans finds Camara, right-hand side, trying to work the angle to get the ball into the box here, Villa. Now they're going from right to left. Lindelof will send it back out to the far left-hand side of Lucadinha. Into the feet of Morgan Rogers, taken off his toe by Wharton, and Villa go all the way back to their keeper, 0-0.
Again, both teams so predictable. Matty Cash does really well there. He's reluctant to use his left foot to put the ball into the box, and does really well to find Camara down this right-hand side. But I just want the teams to put the ball in the box. Like, I know it sounds predictable, but they're creating good opportunities. Sancho picked up the ball there on the right-hand side, then they play it back. Now they're back with Emi Martinez. They've gone from being all the way up on the edge of 18-yard box of Crystal Palace and now all the way back with the goalkeeper.
We're into a minute of minimum added time at the end of this first period on Talksport and Talk Radio and the app. Forward it goes, looking for Ollie Watkins. He's gone down holding his head after going for a 50-50 with Lacroix, but he's got back to his feet because he's realised there's an attack on for Aston Villa. What a recovery that was from Ollie Watkins.
Let's see what the Palace fans think of that.
Falls back with Tielemans. 20 yards inside Palace territory. Camara takes over now next to the centre circle. Rolls it to his right for Matty Cash. There was a run being made down the right hand channel by Sancho, not used. And Villa have been forced back into their own half. A little 1-2 between Concert and Lindelof. Cash will just hit it long from inside his own half along the deck. It'll find McGinn, but as soon as he receives it, Andy Madley blows the whistle for half time. It is goalless in South London. And Brennan Johnson had Crystal Palace's only real chance of the half, and a chance to score on his home debut when he was sent clear by Adam Wharton's sensational through ball. But Emi Martinez made a fingertip save to deny the one-on-one chance for the new Palace signing. At the other end, Morgan Rogers with a super through ball to find Ollie Watkins, who was closer in on goal, and Dean Henderson, the Palace keeper, out bravely to block on his 6-yard line. That, Leanne Sanderson, is as close as we've come to a goal in this opening 45 minutes.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. You know, I know Crystal Palace don't have a luxury of talent on the bench to come into this game, but I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see Emi Buendia coming in the second half. I think both teams are somewhat cancelling each other out, quite slow in their build-up play. You know, no one's really taking any risks, no one's putting the ball in the box. Apart from that opportunity for Brennan Johnson, I think he has to score. Ollie Watkins had one opportunity down here, but it was a fantastic save from Dean Henderson. But other than that, not really much going on in the game. You know, it's been quite a pedestrian first half, but I think second half we'll start to see.
I think Crystal Palace would be by far the happier of the two teams with the way the game's unravelled so far.
Definitely, and I think when you look at these two teams, their season kind of flip-flopped, didn't it? Crystal Palace started the season fantastically well, Aston Villa didn't. Now, equally on the other side, before this game kicks off tonight, Crystal Palace were in 14th and Villa are in 3rd, and they've been fantastic lately. So, I think Crystal Palace at home is always a difficult place to come to, but I do think right now there needs to be a little bit more from both sides. I think they're just cancelling each other out, not really, they're too predictable playing through the lines. I'd like to see a little bit more energy in the second half when they're playing.
What you say is right about the lack of confidence in certain players to get the ball into the box. There was that run by Justin Devaney down the Palace right-hand side where there were at least 4 red and blue shirts waiting for an early ball, admittedly, into the box, but that ball never came. And with your Manchester United hat on, you'll know how frustrating Jadon Sancho can be.
Don't remind me about Man United, Dad. I was in a good mood until you said that.
I've done it now.
But yeah, the thing about Jadon Sancho, I've said it many, many times, he's one of those players that everybody knows there's a player in there, but it's like, when is he going to come out? Like, 25 years old now, did well originally at Borussia Dortmund, then goes to Chelsea, he's at Man United. Like, it just hasn't really worked out. And then obviously that's why I was a bit shocked that Harvey Elliott wasn't getting any game time here, because to me, Jadon Sancho doesn't really do that much for this team.
Well, never mind where is my husband. Where's my goal scorer? We need one here at Selhurst Park. Because at the break here on Talk and on the Talksport app, it is Crystal Palace 0, Aston Villa 0. Back shortly to recap all the latest scores in the Premier League and plenty of talking points aside before you bring you full second half commentary from here at Selhurst Park. They could make it through as well. Back here at Selhurst Park, Villa players are first to emerge from the tunnel down to our right-hand side. I'm not sure they'll have had a flea in their ear from Unai Emery at half-time, but he'll want a little bit more from them, won't he?
Yeah, I mean, it's not been a bad performance. I don't think it's been a terrible game by any means, but I just think both teams need to find a way to break through. I think Morgan Rogers started to creep into the game a little bit more. It also looks like they're making a goalkeeping change. I'll leave that one to you.
Yeah, Martinez didn't appear to be in any problem towards the end of the first half, but Marco Bizzo is in nets. He's already put his wash bag or his glove bag down in there in the back of the net, and so that is a very unexpected shift from Unai Emery. Well spotted, Leanne Sanderson.
It's happened this year against Brighton as well, didn't it? Before the game he ended up having to make that, and then they conceded in the first 20 minutes of that game. But yeah, that's quite a strange one. Obviously he's picked up a knock or something like that, because you're not changing the goalkeeper at half time.
Yeah, he must have done. Something's gone on. Might be a thigh strain or a groin strain. Would have stopped him kicking. Well, Oliver Glasner's emerged from the tunnel, but his players haven't yet. Their players are marginally slower than Villa set-piece coach Austin McPhee, who's got his left leg in a brace, and the poor bloke is struggling down the near touchline. Very unmistakable figure, long-haired Austin McPhee. Here come the Palace players, and they will be attacking their favoured Holmesdale Road end in the second half. And there don't appear to be any changes for Crystal Palace. The substitution confirmed for the Villa goalkeeping change at the break, and we'll try and get some detail on that for you as to why it is that Emi Martinez has not re-emerged. But certainly no changes for Crystal Palace, so they will continue with Henderson in goal, Canvo, Lacroix and Gahey at the back three, Devaney, Wharton, Hughes and Mitchell, Johnson, Pino and Mateta. For Villa it will now be Bizzo, Cash, Concert, Lindelof and Digne, Kamara and Tielemans, McGinn, Rogers and Sancho behind Watkins. And sorry Leanne, Burnley 1, Manchester United 0, and it's an own goal from young Heaven, the centre half at Manchester United.
Don't wind me up.
I'm just telling you the score. That's not a wind-up. I'm just giving you the score. That's all. And we're back underway at Selhurst Park. Villa in their change strip of all white with little flecks of light blue. They're attacking the White Horse Lane into our far left-hand side. We're sat right at the back of the main stand here at Selhurst Park. Palace in their red and blue striped shirts with the blue shorts and socks, heading for the Holmesdale Road to our right in this second period.
Dan, if Man United lose that game, are they going to say they should play about three?
Oh yeah, the sports bar will be inundated with callers saying exactly that. Don't forget the sports bar is just after 10:15 tonight, I would say, on Talksport, taking your calls. Jamie O'Hara's definitely in there. I'm not sure whether Jason's going to be there tonight because Chelsea are playing. 03717 2233 44 is how you get in touch tonight. And it will be Jason. So he'll be hot-footing it from Fulham, I imagine, on a Talksport bike, the motorised one. Foul on halfway. I'd love to see him on a push bike, like one of the kids out of Stranger Things, trying to pedal back to Talksport Towers down the Fulham Palace Road.
He actually probably would, Cundy, as well.
He would. I'd pay money to watch that, just to see him blowing and effing and jeffing as he's going through all the traffic. Anyway, free kick to Aston Villa on halfway. We're in the second minute of the second half. No goals to speak of just yet, but that substitution for Aston Villa with Bizot coming on for Aston Villa. Here's Digne getting to the byline, swinging the ball across from the left-hand side. Camera heads it goalwards and it's volleyed clear by Gahey. And then Mitchell helps it up towards halfway. Mateta trying to protect the ball away from Konsa. Does really well initially, Mateta, then runs into Konsa again, who brings it clear. Trying to release Sancho down the right-hand side, but it came off the heel of Tyreek Mitchell. Now Morgan Rogers takes over in front of the Villa fans on that far side. Great run from Rogers. Gets it back at the edge of the area, trying to shift his feet, but there's enough red and blue shirts back there to get it clear. And then Mateta trying to win the ball on halfway, claims there's handball by Konsa. Nothing doing, says referee Madley. Martinez has just gone to join the Villa substitutes on the bench. He doesn't appear to be limping or needing any aid, so we'll have to find out what the extent of that injury is. Meantime, here come Crystal Palace. Looking to break the deadlock here. Johnson down the right-hand side, tries to feed the ball in early, but an important touch from Boubacar Kamara. And that gives Bizot his first touch. You can just claim it comfortably inside his 6-yard box.
And I was crying out in the first half for a ball to be put in the box. 1 minute into the game, Digne puts a fantastic ball in. It's amazing what can happen, because I said, like, both teams are reluctant. They create an overload centrally. The players are in the box. Ollie Watkins is a fantastic finisher. Mateta's a great finisher, and they're reluctant to put the ball in the box. Provide these players with some service, and they'll put the ball in the back of the net.
Palace 0, Villa 0. Played 3 minutes of the second half. Camera finds Cash inside his own half. Out to Sancho on the right hand side, who's been well policed by and large tonight, Jadon Sancho, by Tyreek Mitchell. I wonder whether Mitchell's an outside chance for an England call up for the World Cup as a specialist left back.
I've been talking about Mitchell for a long time now. I've done a lot of Palace games this year and I talk about him a lot. Like, I think he's top, but I just think, I don't know, he's one of those players that's consistent, good on the ball, good defensively. He's got all the attributes, but I just can't really see it for some reason. I don't think, Tuchel would pick him. I don't know why, but I just
Maybe
think he should be.
Yeah.
He should be in the running. I think he should be.
2 friendlies and then that's it, isn't it, really, for Tuchel come March?
But you know what, Dan? When it's a World Cup squad, there's always surprises. Every single time there's been a tournament for England over the years, ever since I was small.
You're going to go a long way to beat Theo Walcott as a surprise, though.
That was the biggest shock. But, there's always somebody left out or someone that goes that people are thinking that weren't even thinking about. And Thomas Tuchel's that type of manager, isn't he?
So you're saying I've got a chance? There's always a chance. Free kick to Aston Villa. Midway point of the Crystal Palace half, 0-0. 4.5 minutes gone in the second half. Austin McPhee is actually on his feet, the injured Villa set-piece coach, gesticulating to his players to get further towards the goal, try and break the offside trap. McGinn swings the cross in left-footed, headed down by Lindelof, and Tielemans turns it wide. Difficult angle for him to try and guide the ball goalwards. He was inside the 6-yard box but near the dead ball line. Just couldn't wrap his left foot round it. Lovely header to find it for Lindelof, but that half chance goes begging for Villa, 0-0.
That was a fantastic set piece. Lovely header from Lindelof, and to be fair to Tielemans, a player of his quality, you'd expect him to do a lot better there. It wasn't an easy charge, it was going across his body, but somebody like him, he has that quality to even take a touch in that position and have a little bit more composure. But a lovely work set piece, and fair play to Lindelof, because I think when he signed for Aston Villa for Man United, a lot of people were questioning. They were quite underwhelmed, the Villa fans, and I understand why. But you know what? He gives 150% every single time. Might not have the quality, but will give everything.
Been looking at Emi Martinez, who's got his left calf heavily strapped. Oh, poor touch from Cambo. Rogers plays it across the face of goal and is blocked by a combination of Lacroix and Henderson, and then Rogers goes for goal again, but it was never on target, and Henderson made sure just clutch hold of it. It would have gone into the side netting from the angle I had for Morgan Rogers' shot, but just a simple slip from JD Cambo let Aston Villa in, but they could not capitalise. 0-0.
Yeah, it also looks like Lacroix looks like he might have hurt his hamstring there as well, and it was a double almost kick. Morgan Rogers does so well to put it across the box because he was trying to find Ollie Watkins on the right hand side, and Palace were at 6s and 7s for sure.
You can hear the Villa fans singing "Whole Tenders in the Sky" over in the Arthur Waite stand on the far side of the field, making plenty of noise. What a season Villa fans have had. I think at the start they had, we mentioned Palace winning at Villa Park 3-0 back in August, and that was after a summer of real disappointment in the transfer market for Unai Emery and Aston Villa, but boy how they've recovered.
Well, I think a club like Aston Villa, PSR's definitely held them back, but I think when you've got a manager like Emery, anything is possible. I've always liked him. I think he's tactically amazing in Europa League. He's won it so many times with Sevilla and Villarreal. Top manager.
Here's Brennan Johnson down the right hand side for Crystal Palace, near the corner flag, works it back for Adam Wharton, looks up, puts a left-footed ball into the near post. Deveni gets a half touch. It's cleared away by Sancho up to halfway, but Lacroix nods it down, cushions the header down for Guéhi. Now Pino on the inside left channel, looks to release Guéhi down the left wing. He'll keep it in play before it gets to the dead ball line, pressurised by Cash. Now it's worked back to Hughes. Hughes gives it back to Lacroix in the centre circle. Doesn't appear to be any the worse for wear after that little slight limp he had earlier after that cross from Rogers came off him and diverted onto Dean Henderson.
What I'd like to see from Aston Villa is, I think, Buendia coming into this game, Kamara going off and Tielemans can drop deeper.
Oh, here's Hughes in space, plays it across the edge of the area. Pino with a shot, blocked by the head of Lindelof, played back into the area by Wharton, but it skittles through to Bizot, and the chance goes for Crystal Palace. But suddenly Will Hughes opened everything up for Crystal Palace. 0-0.
Yeah, it was poor from Aston Villa. They got dragged out. Will Hughes does really well to break down that left-hand side. They couldn't quite fall to them in the end, but Aston Villa this second half have been sitting quite deep. I spoke about them not really being in any hurry in their build-up play on the attack, but they're certainly sitting a lot deeper in this second half for some reason, and Crystal Palace are sitting a little bit higher.
0-0 it stays though on the Talksport app and Talk Radio. 53 minutes gone. Forward comes Ollie Watkins, goes down at the edge of the area. I don't think he was looking for a foul, but the Palace fans thought he was. Quickly taken throw from Villa, and they've won another one as Justin Deveni got a foot in to stop Digne and Rogers playing a 1-2 and getting away down this near side. So again, going to be a longer throw this time for Aston Villa. Digne 10 yards from the corner flag. Sancho and Watkins has now made a run to the near post, and Mateta got his head to it first, headed it against Watkins, and the Palace fans in the White Horse Lane End love that because it's been given us a Palace goal kick. 0-0.
Yeah, good defending. Like I said, I think they've been really disciplined in their back line, but I do think substitutions in this game will be massive. I was mentioning if I was Emery, not that I'm trying to tell him what to do, who am I, he's a top manager, but I'm bringing on Buendia, I'm leaving on John McGinn, taking off Kamara, and Tielemans can drop a little bit deeper and orchestrate from a little bit deeper in that deep line midfield role. I think, Aston Villa look like they're on the front foot a little bit more in the second half, but still not creating much in that front line area.
Palace's bench is filled with academy graduates, such as the injury shortage that Oliver Glasner's having to work with. 11 players are unavailable to him, including Klein and Lerma, who got injured last time out at Newcastle. Chris Richards, the most experienced player on there. You've also got Cristantas Uche and Borna Sosa, who've got some Premier League experience. But other than that, George King, Dean Benamar, Benji Casey, Joel Drakes-Thomas, all got a bit of Europa League, Conference League experience and a bit of Premier League sub-minutes here and there. That's it. Ball cleared away by Aston Villa. McGinn backs into Will Hughes and gets the better of him. Shows great strength, the Scot. Tries to play the ball beyond Cambo for the run of Rogers, but Palace won it back. Hughes back on his feet but moving a little awkwardly. Palace fans getting behind their team. Deveni lays it off to Wharton just inside the Villa half. Now Hughes has it at the edge of the centre circle, trots forward 20 yards, and had to carry it still further up to the edge of the box. The right-footed shot is weak, not going to trouble Bizot. He knew that was going well wide, but that was Will Hughes just being allowed to steal forward with the ball and not be challenged. A stronger shot might have caused Bizot a problem. 0-0.
Yeah, I think Will Hughes does well there to penetrate through the middle, but I just don't think he lacked conviction. He didn't really believe in his strike, and that's what I was talking about, Dan. It's like somebody kind of taking the game by the scruff of the neck, carrying the ball, taking someone on, dragging players out of position, but he didn't really have much conviction by the time he took his shot.
Latest scores in the Premier League: Bournemouth 2, Tottenham 1, Brentford 1, Sunderland 0, Palace 0, Villa 0 here on Talk. Everton 1, Wolves 0, Fulham 0, 10-man Chelsea 0, Manchester City 1, Brighton 0, and in the 8:15 games, Newcastle 0, Leeds 0, and Burnley 1, Manchester United 0. Manchester United have also had a goal disallowed at 1-0 down. Ball is back with the substitute keeper, Bizot, and he plays the ball short to Lindelof under no pressure. Mateta opting not to close him down as he gets to almost the midway point of his own half, the Swede. Now Mateta has the trigger to go and close down the space, which means Lindelof will simply square the ball to his right for Konsa. Now Konsa looks back to Lindelof once more, gets his head up. Digne wants possession. Devaney comes out to close down the space, and it's put out a play off Devaney for a Villa throw. 0-0, and we're 57 minutes in. Leanne Sanderson.
Devaney did really well there, because when I was looking, I was thinking he has to go and claim the ball there if he's going to get dragged out of position.
Thomas Tuchel is here tonight, sitting just behind Steve Parish and Mark Bright on the Palace board. Plenty of English talent he can be having a look at, not least Gahey, Wharton, Konsa,
Mitchell.
Maybe Mitchell, as I mentioned earlier. Yeah. And of course, Dean Henderson in goal for Crystal Palace. Devaney with the throw for the hosts. Looking for an option. Mateta's come short to the halfway line, but it's gone beyond him. Looking for Brennan Johnson. Hughes just lost it down the right hand side. A chase between Digne and Mateta. Mateta's easily got the better of Digne, just nudges him out of the way, pulls him back from the dead ball line, gets away from Mitchell. Gahey chasing after it as it goes outside the Villa box and back towards the halfway line. 0-0.
I'll tell you what, Mateta, I know people talk a lot about his goal scoring, and I understand that, but his strength is unbelievable. It's not just that he's strong, it's the way he uses his body. He made Luca Digne there look like a little boy. You know, it wasn't a foul. I know Digne was looking for a foul after the fact, but Mateta was so good there, showed great strength.
Made a chance almost out of nothing there, Jean-Philippe Mateta. And he does love playing against Villa. He scored more Premier League goals against Villa than against any other opponent. He scored 6 in 8 Premier League appearances, Mateta, against tonight's opponents. He also got 3 assists against them. But he hasn't scored or assisted here. Nobody has. It's 0-0. Mitchell, left-hand side for Palace, whips the ball in over the head of Mateta. Johnson with a header straight at Bizot, who clutches hold of it gratefully. 0-0.
Brilliant ball into the box from Mitchell. This game was crying out for deliveries in. I said it in the first half, it was a great ball in for Mitchell. By the time it got to Brennan Johnson, to be fair to him, it was difficult to get any power and pace on it, because the ball was whipped but didn't have much power on it, and then by the time it got through, it was always comfortable for Bizot. But good play from Palace.
Leeds lead at Newcastle. Newcastle 0, Leeds 1 through Brendan Aronson. And Raul Jimenez has given Fulham the lead against 10-man Chelsea over on Talksport 2 early in the second half. Fulham 1, Chelsea 0. Liam Rossignol in the stands tonight, not taking charge. Might be a wise move. Digne for Aston Villa at 0-0 here at Selhurst Park. Finds Morgan Rogers, plays a quick 1-2 into the area, across the face of goal, and no one there to turn it home in a white Villa shirt. Somehow Palace smuggle it clear. Back with Tielemans. Digne looks for Rogers again down the left-hand side. Not much room to work with, but he's done brilliantly to get away, at least temporarily, from Cambo, who's now trying to hold him up. Down he goes, no foul, says the referee. Rogers convinced he was being tackled, and Palace will bring it away with Brennan Johnson. Clips it downfield. Now Mateta on the burst, trying to get the better of the 2 centre-halves. Cross came Konsa. Superb defending from England's Ezri Konsa, but Mateta whipping up the fans around us. 0-0 as we approach the hour mark.
Finally, a bit of spice to this game. both teams going at it end to end. It was lovely play from Konsa to come across. He's so composed in that situation. I know he wanted a foul. And then equally on the other end, it was a lovely play from Morgan Rogers and John McGinn. He puts it across the box. Mitchell was there. I was waiting for Ollie Watkins to put it in the back of the net. And Mitchell defended it so well. But this game's opened up a little bit.
Still goalless though. Devaney with a throw level with the 18-yard line of Villa's box. On this right-hand side, looks for Mateta. Wanted a corner. Claimed he'd hit it against Lindelof, but Andy Madley very clearly indicated it's a goal kick instead. So you've got a choice of listening at 10 o'clock on Talk Radio. Petri Hoskin going through the day's top stories and getting the front pages of tomorrow's newspapers to dissect them with you on Talksport. It's the Sports Bar at around about 10:15 with Jamie O'Hara and Jason Cundy, taking your calls on all of tonight's Premier League action as Brighton equalise at Manchester City 1-1. Kaoru Mitoma not long back in the Brighton side after injury. He gets the leveller at the Etihad. So if Villa can get their noses in front here, chance for them to go second in the table.
I told you they've been dropping points, Dan.
They have. And Mitoma, I've always loved watching him since I saw his debut, I think, against Arsenal for Brighton. Just lots of fun to watch. Lots of fun to watch Kaoru Mitoma. Throw into Palace on the far side of the field. 0-0. We played 62 minutes here at Selhurst Park on Talksport and the Talksport app and Talk Radio. Maxence Lacroix rolls the ball to his right for Canvo. Devaney's calling for it on this near side, but Canvo has elected to come in field, just drifts away from Morgan Rogers, finds Will Hughes at the edge of the centre circle. Again, Hughes will drive forward, one or two urging him to shoot. Goes out to the left-hand side to Tyreek Mitchell. Gahey tosses the ball into the area. The flick might break for Devaney at the far post. Knocks it across the 6-yard line and Lindelof hooks clear with the outside of his right boot. Another heavy touch from Canvo, almost allowed Watkins to get clear, but Canvo did enough to recover his ground. 0-0.
Yeah, it looked like it was going to break to Devaney down this right-hand side. And like I said, the game's opening up a little bit. Devaney's going a little bit higher. Wharton's dropping in a little bit deeper, but the runs, Devaney's just making another fantastic run. I think the players need to take a look up and see it.
Newcastle equalise against Leeds United at St James's Park. That's in the 8:15 game. Harvey Barnes has got the equaliser for Newcastle United. So goals everywhere, except for here
just
at Selhurst Park. 63 minutes gone. But you do sense, Leanne Sanderson, there's something brewing here between these two, and there is a change, and the soothsayer that is Leanne Sanderson's done it again. Emi Buendia will be on the pitch sooner rather than later. Let's see if it's for camera.
Let's see. I don't know if I could get two right in one game, Dan. It's a stretch for me, isn't it?
2-0 to Brentford against Sunderland meantime in one of the other 7:30 games, and Igor Thiago has another for the Bees. He'll go to the World Cup surely with Brazil. Now Palace winning the ball back in their own defensive third. Gahey turns away from the attentions of McGinn. Ball played up to Mateta on halfway, but a little almost karate kick clearance from Ezri Konsa puts it out of play for a throw, and the player coming off is in actual fact Jadon Sancho making way.
Wah, wah, wah. Well, I kind of got it half right, I guess, but that, I mean, I think Buendia needs to be on the pitch for sure. Again, another disappointing performance from Jadon Sancho. It wasn't like it was a terrible one, but like he didn't really have any impact on the game. You know, I don't know, it's difficult with Jadon Sancho because, like I said, I think everyone can see there's a player in there, but just has no impact on any of these games that he's playing in.
Well, he's making his way round the touchline. Sancho got a round of applause from the Villa fans in that Arthur Waite stand where he started his walk. Now he's going back behind the White Horse Lane into our left. Meanwhile, at the other end, Palace are coming forward at 0-0. Mateta keeping the ball in play, tight to the far touchline. Hughes manages to touch it into the box. Pino with a drive, blocked out by the keeper. Devaney! Blocked again by Dina. Pulls it back to the edge of the area. Wharton with a drive, straight into the chest of Emi Buendia. And Palace have 2 or 3 chances in the space of a few seconds, but Villa keep themselves level at 0-0.
It was interesting because I was hoping that Pino was going to find Devaney initially, and then Pino ends up taking a shot, And to be fair to Devaney, the ball did come back really quick, but I don't think he needed to take a touch. I think he could have just cushioned it. It might have not been an easy opportunity, but could have kind of cushioned it into the back of the net, taking that touch, allowed Villa to get back on side and to make the block. I think if he hits it first time, they've got no chance at recovering, or even tries to find, you can see Brennan Johnson centrally wanting the ball as well, about 5 yards out. It came back at Devaney pretty quick.
He does have a Premier League goal to his name, Justin Devaney, and he was not far away from doubling his Premier League tally. But here come Villa trying to burst through the middle. Hughes goes to ground with Buendia. Nothing wrong with that challenge, says Andy Madley. And here come the Eagles again. Brennan Johnson, right-hand corner of the area, tries to nick it past Digne. Gets to the byline, pulls it to the far post. Up goes the keeper, it misses it. Mitchell in front of goal. No one can tuck it away. Was that a foul? No, says the referee. They're screaming for a challenge on Mark Gahey, who's only now just picking himself up. Johnson again down the right-hand side of the box. He goes down, but it's been given as a foul against Crystal Palace. And he's going to get a yellow card for simulation, is he? Brennan Johnson, indeed he is. After Mark Gahey went down inside the 6-yard box, and that's what the Palace fans were screaming for a penalty for not a few seconds ago. 0-0 it stays.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, really, because there was a lot to unfolded there. I mean, Lindelof goes for the ball. Yeah, it's poor from Brennan Johnson on the replay. He just leans into him. The first one on Mark Gahey from camera, I actually thought it was a really good tackle. It's a strong tackle. It's a high-risk one. And to be fair, Martinez isn't the best at coming for the ball. Bizot equally as well there. Looked like Martinez on set pieces. It wasn't a foul. I think the ref did well. Bizot comes out, can't get anywhere near the ball.
Checking penalty.
Oh, they are checking for a penalty for that challenge, but I think you're right. I think that Camara gets a toe end on the ball, although it was a right old melee inside that 6-yard box from the pull back into the area.
But I understand why that's checked, though. I mean, it's not a foul, but they have to check it. I mean,
I must admit, I've not heard that before. I sort of boom, checking penalty.
I know. I was in a spaceship. I was like, what is that?
That wasn't anything to do with us. That wasn't a Talksport sound effect. Everton 1, Wolves 1. Wolves equalised through Mane, the young kid who scored that wonder goal at Molineux the other day. More points for Rob Edwards and co. The unlikely comeback. It'd be you have to be title-winning form from this point, you would say. But fair play to Wolves for not just withering on the vine. Here's Tielemans for Aston Villa. 0-0 here. Canvo tried to chest it back to his goalkeeper, kind of got it wrong but knew it and managed to spin and hook it clear. Devaney finds Mateta on halfway, but Lindelof gets a foot in. Concert has to work the ball back to Bizot, his keeper. Mateta closing down the space. Bizot not quite as confident, you would say, as Emi Martinez in passing out from the back. And Palace have actually won it back as Mitchell keeps it away from McGinn and draws the free kick off the Scotland international.
Yeah, Bizot isn't very good with his feet, not as good as Martinez, but he's actually a very good shot stopper. He played a lot in the Europa League earlier on in the season. It looked like he was going to be their Europa League goalkeeper, and then Emery switched it up halfway through. But yeah, it is completely different, playing with Martinez. He's comfortable on the ball, and now Palace have a set piece. I wouldn't say it's in a dangerous position, 20 yards inside the half, but I'd like to see Palace put this into the box here and really put one on Aston Villa.
Into the last quarter of this Premier League game. All the Premier League games live across the Talksport network tonight, including the app, Talksport, Talksport 2 and this on Talk Radio, where it is Crystal Palace 0, Aston Villa 0. Wharton has gone across to that far side to take this free kick, and Villa are holding a very tight defensive line within the width of the D at the 18-yard line. It's all very compressed in between those two edges of the D. Wharton squares it for Mitchell. Villa players come out. Mitchell tosses the ball out to the left-hand side. Gahey tries to head the ball back in play, but it just skims off the top of his head and out for a Villa throw, 0-0.
That was all quite strange, really, because initially it looked like Pino was going to take the set piece. Then Adam Wharton goes out there kind of leisurely, takes it, and it looked like they were trying to create an overload down this right-hand side to Mark Gahey to be able to maybe head it to Pino. But sometimes I think, I like intricate stuff. I know there's a lot of talk about set-piece coaches this year, and I think they're valuable, but sometimes you just got to put the ball in the box.
Bane of centre-halves live sometime when they come forward for a set piece, and not 10 seconds later they're having to trundle back when it hasn't worked and the ball went nowhere near them. Digne for Villa, lobs the ball over halfway, goes over Rodgers' head, but Watkins comes out to this near touch line. Did well to keep it in play, but presented it to Palace in doing so. Wharton finds Hughes, still inside their own half here, Palace, and the ball's back via Gahey to Henderson, the keeper. And he will pass the ball out to the right-hand side, and Maxence Lacroix plays the ball up to halfway, but comfortably intercepted by Camara. Looked to play it through the middle. Was he going for goal, thinking that Henderson wasn't in goal? Slightly overhit it. A couple of changes coming up for Aston Villa. You can see Daniel Mallon's stripped and ready to come on. I think Jamaldine Gimo's coming on as well for Aston Villa. We will see. Ball's back in Villa's own penalty area with Lindelof. Oh, now Devaney wins the ball off Digne, shows good strength. Cleared away though by Aston Villa, and it's Boubacar Kamara, leaves it for Morgan Rodgers, charging through the centre of the half into the edge of the area, goes for goal, patted down and then held at the second attempt by Dean Henderson. 0-0 it stays. It's actually Ian Matson who's going to be coming on, forgive me, for the second Villa change. So it may well be Digne coming off, and maybe Watkins, because Marlon has played as a central striker quite often in recent times, Leanne Sanderson.
I like Marlon, he puts himself about, but what I'd like to see here is Ollie Watkins stays on, Marlon and him can kind of be up top, essentially. I mean, they want to win this game, don't they? It'd be interesting to see what Emery does in this situation.
Brentford are now 3-0 up against Sunderland. Yarmol, the Ukrainian midfielder, has got the third, so Brentford in fifth, 33 points, a point behind Liverpool, who play tomorrow live on Talksport at Arsenal on 34. Villa staying third on 43. Manchester City 43, because they're drawing as well, and Crystal Palace, with the point they get, will move up to 13th, displacing Tottenham, who are losing 2-1 at Bournemouth. Here come the changes, and it's John McGinn that's actually making way for Daniel Marlon, having scored his brace against Forest last time out. No airs or graces from John McGinn. He doesn't trudge off the pitch, he runs off knowing, right, let's give you the maximum time to make your impact, and it is a straight swap at left back, Matson for Digne.
Yeah, I understand that substitution. I always say everyone needs a John McGinn, you know, that type of player that never sulks, never moans, always gives 150%, but also has quality. I think people are starting to see only recently, for some reason, just the quality he does have. But I think now they're pushing on, you know, 20 minutes to go or so. I think this game, I can't see this game, I could be wrong, Dan, it's ending 0-0. I can't see it.
Yeah. John McGinn's one of those players who uses his backside to great effect, like Kenny Dalglish used to when I was growing up watching football. Makes it very awkward for players to try and take the ball off him. But he's off and Marlon is on. What effect will that have on these last 16 or 17 minutes? On the TalkSport app and Talk Radio, 0-0. Looks like a penalty's been awarded to Tottenham at Bournemouth. A chance for 2-2 for Thomas Frank's men. They were 1-0 up and 2-1 down. Here's Will Hughes for Palace at 0-0. Clips the ball into the area, headed out neatly by Conson, knocked down by Buendia for Camara. Camara's got 3 or 4 Palace shirts around him, still manages to find Matty Cash, but Cash's ball up to halfway drifts out of play for a Palace throw. And you can hear around us the Palace fans, just a little bit of belief that there's something in this for the hosts here, particularly as they know the record they have against Aston Villa over recent seasons. If you are, and let's face it, fans love a bit of superstition and love a bit of bogey team nonsense, even if the stats almost never bear it out. Remember, they're unbeaten in their last 4 Premier League meetings against Villa, 3 wins and a draw.
I think as well, I mean, for this Crystal Palace side, you mentioned pre-game about the fact they've got 11 regular first team players out. I think it shows you the strength and depth, you know, of these teams, and they're in Europa Conference League as well. They've got a lot of games coming thick and fast, so it's difficult times for Ollie Glasner. But I think at home, this is a real fortress here at Selhurst Park. The fans really get behind them, and I think they are really the 12th man, genuinely, as cliche as that sounds. They give them that belief.
That's the thoughts of Leanne Sanderson, former England women's striker, alongside me, Ian Danta, here at Selhurst Park. We've still got just over a quarter of an hour to play here, goalless. Burnley 1, Manchester United 0 is now a half-time score over on Talksport at Turf Moor. Leeds have been awarded a penalty at Newcastle United. That's currently 1-1, approaching half-time at St James's. I'll let you know what happens with that penalty and the one that Tottenham have been awarded at Bournemouth. they'll have a similar amount of time to go at Vitality as we do here at Selhurst Park. Quarter of an hour. Lindelof back for Bizot, and the keeper who came on at half-time for the stricken Emi Martinez plays a long ball downfield. Lacroix heads the ball up in the air twice, helped out by Gahey. Knocked out to the left-hand side for Tyreek Mitchell, who's fouled by Buendia. Free kick to Crystal Palace. Leeds have scored that penalty through Dominic Calvert-Lewin. So it is Newcastle 1, Leeds 2. And Chelsea have equalised despite being down to 10. It's now 1-1 over on Talksport 2 in the West London derby. Liam Delap scores the equaliser for Chelsea. And the penalty decision that was awarded to Bournemouth has been reversed on a VAR review, so it stays 2-1 to Bournemouth, no penalty for Spurs. Here are Palace coming forward with Will Hughes, flicks it for Mateta, trying to turn it quickly around the corner to get Devaney away. Maatsen got a foot in. Hughes will win it back, and Will Hughes has really stepped into the Premier League role that's been afforded to him, more so than I thought he would. I thought he was going to struggle for minutes as a Premier League player. Very important as a Championship player for many clubs, but he looks very calm and composed on the ball. Devaney puts the ball into the Villa area, comfortably headed clear, but then Wharton gets the better of Tielemans, finds Johnson, right-hand corner of the area. Maatsen, he gives it back, does Johnson, to Wharton, now Mitchell. Finds Pino, left-hand corner of the area. Little reverse ball for Mitchell, tries to play it across the base of goal, and Marlon diverts it behind for Palace's first corner of the second half of the Holmesdale end, 0-0.
Really good play from Crystal Palace. It all starts with Devaney down its right-hand side, goes inside to Brennan Johnson. They were trying to work an opening to Wharton. He looked like he was going to take a shot, and they kept working it, and now they've got a set piece.
To be taken by Pino, corner where the Holmesdale Road meets the Arthur Waite on the far side of the field from us. This will be a right-footed in-swinger. 3 or 4 Palace players congregated just to the right of the penalty spot. 2 centre-halves and Johnson. Now they break, as in it comes from Pino, headed up in the air by Cash at the near post. Volleyed clear neatly by Buendia. Nobody on halfway for Villa, so Mitchell's got all the time in the world to bring the ball down, and he will just guide it back to Dean Henderson, who looks up and strikes it down the centre of the field, looking for somebody in red and blue to get a flick. Lindelof gets a good strong header. Tielemans cushions a header down for Maatsen, and Maatsen rides the challenge of Brennan Johnson, but then Palace win it back. Gahey works into the centre of the Villa half for Pino. Back for Hughes. Now Wharton looking to direct operations. Pino wants it again on the left-hand side, but it's Gahey looking for Hughes. Back for Wharton once more. Villa got everybody behind the ball. Now it's played through the lines for Gahey. Tucks it down the right-hand side of the box. Johnson across the face of goal, and it just evades. Mateta sliding in. Kept in play by Mitchell on the far side. And Palace have won another corner. 0-0.
That was unbelievable play from Mark Gahey. He was almost playing like a deep line midfielder, orchestrating everything. Turning on the half turn. It was a lovely ball from Brennan Johnson. It was almost like a picture-perfect goal. Gets the ball on this right-hand side, puts it across nice and early, and Mateta just couldn't quite get on the end of it. Lovely play from Crystal Palace.
But it is another corner for the Eagles, to be taken on that far side of the Holmesdale Road end by Yeremy Pino. It's deeper this time, beyond everyone actually, and out on the full for a Villa goal kick. Bournemouth 2, Tottenham 2. Tottenham equalise at the Vitality through Japalinia. And it stays 0-0 here with 11 minutes of normal time remaining at Selhurst Park, and Oliver Glasner barking out instructions. Don't think he's happy with the way that corner came to nothing. Unai Emery, I think, just calling to a Villa sub. We might see another change here for Aston Villa in the next couple of minutes. Meantime, Lindelof in possession for the visitors. Guides the ball back to his keeper, Bizot. Lindelof again. Just brings the game down to walking pace, just outside his own 18-yard line. Johnson closes down the space. So once again it goes back to the keeper. And he's not being pressurised, although Mateta thinks about getting closer to him. Chipped out to the right-hand side for Cash. Cash just drives the ball down the inside right channel, brilliantly taken down by Buendia. Skips infield and lays it off to Camara into the centre of the Palace half. Tielemans finds Buendia again, scheming his way to the edge of the area, makes room for a shot and lifts it left-footed way over the crossbar. Lovely quick feet to set himself up for the chance, Emi Buendia. but the shot did not match the build-up. Goal kick, 0-0.
If anyone has an opportunity to see this ball from Matty Cash tonight, like, go back and watch that, because he pings it on an absolute dime on the volley straight into the path. You're talking 70-80 yard ball. The technique was incredible, and Buendia is usually really good in those positions, picking up the ball on the edge of the box. By the time he gets the ball, he leans back and goes sailing over. But I think Crystal Palace have been their better side in this second half. I think they've taken the game to Villa. Villa started it all right, and then now I think Palace have the upper hand.
Lamar Bogart's going to be coming on for Villa in a minute to bolster the midfield ranks. Rodgers can't keep the ball in play on this near side. He thought he had, but the ball's out of play. Does that signal the Villa change? Is Bogart going to come on now? I think he is, and he is going to be replacing Boubacar Kamara, so a straight swap in defensive midfield. Kamara off, Bogart on.
Yeah, it makes sense as well. We've seen Bogart as well this season play in that full-back position. I think Morgan Rodgers had a relatively quiet night as well, which I've been quite surprised. These things happen, you know, you go for it. He's not had a bad game, but he just hasn't really had much of an impact on the game. He's the type of player that, if he wants to have an impact on the game, it's good night for the other team.
Devaney smacks the ball right-footed over to the far side of the field, looking for Mitchell, but it's out of play. Matty Cash quickly takes the ball off a cone, tries to throw it into the area to get Villa on the attack, but Palace deal with it. Mitchell turns and hits it off the backside of Cash, and it goes out for a Palace throw on that far side of the field. But time is ticking away here at Selhurst Park. 81.5 minutes played, still goalless, still waiting for the breakthrough. Reminder of scores elsewhere in the Premier League. At the moment, whilst it's 0-0 here, Bournemouth 2, Tottenham 2, Brentford 3, Sunderland 0, Everton 1, Wolves 1, but Everton are down to 10, I'm told. Fulham 1, Chelsea 1. Chelsea down to 10, but they've equalised. Manchester City 1, Brighton 1, Burnley 1, Manchester United 0 at half-time, and it's half-time as well on Tyneside. Newcastle 1, Leeds 2. Free kick to Aston Villa for a foul on Buendia, much to the irritation of the locals.
Yeah, that was a foul all day long. I mean, Buendia did really well to pick up the ball. Nothing much in that, but I think for both teams, like the number 9s tonight in Ollie Watkins and Mateta, they haven't really had much service at all. I mean, Mateta's been given the ball up top. They're asking him to hold it up with 5 or 6 players around him, and Ollie Watkins hasn't really been given much service.
It's Michael Keane that got his marching orders for Everton. I think David Moyes has been booked as well. It is 1-1 between Everton and the bottom side Wolves. Villa with a free kick here, 20 yards inside Palace territory, slid down the right hand side by Tielemans for Marlon, tries to whip it in, but Mitchell got a foot in, goes out of play for a Villa throw. 7 minutes to go, 0-0. Ian Danter and Leanne Sanderson, former England women's striker, with you. Matty Cash looks like he's going to launch this long throw into the Crystal Palace penalty area to see whether Villa can make something of this. He's leaning against the advertising hoardings in front of the Villa fans in that Arthur Waite stand, is Cash, telling his players to get into the box and prepare. What's his long throw like? Oh, as soon as I say that, he goes short to Buendia. Kidded me. Gets it back from Buendia. Checks the cross with his right. Nan crosses with his left. Up go the heads. It's headed down and palmed away. Watkins with a header, and Henderson got something on it to keep it away, and it goes behind for a Villa corner.
What a header, what a save. Lovely play from Matty Cash, puts it into the box. Caught Palace off guard because they were waiting for the long throw, goes short, and that is some save from Dean Henderson. I think Ollie Watkins was already celebrating. Oh, he did save it actually.
It touched the post.
Yeah, it looked like he saved it from this angle.
Oh, I thought he got something on it, but no, it clipped the outside of the post and just cleared behind for a corner kick, which is now Villa's, where the Arthur Waite meets the White Horse Lane in. Left-footed in-swinger to come for Aston Villa. Players making a run across the line. In it goes to the far post. It's just over the head of Watkins. Drops on the 6-yard line, and before Konsa can get there, it's flicked behind by Canvo for another Villa corner. Now the visitors are pressing for a winner.
Yeah, and I think, you know, if this game was to stay the way it is, I think Crystal Palace will be the happier side. I think you look at this team, Aston Villa in 3rd place before this game, the game's kicked off tonight. They'll be disappointed to come away from here with a point. I think Villa have taken it to another level this season.
So it will be Cash to take this latest corner. This time it's where the main stand meets the White Horse Lane in, down to our far left-hand side. So a right-footed in-swinger from the Polish international. again. Players making a run along the dead ball line. Cash drives it in near post. It's headed up in the air by Mateta and lands just beyond the roof of the net for another Villa corner as they continue to pressurise Palace here, looking for a late winner. 5 to go, 0-0.
Yeah, Matty Cash has an unbelievable delivery. We're looking to put this one on Dean Henderson.
Yeah, he's setting it down again, Cash, and raising his right arm as he just takes 2 or 3 steps back from the ball. Again, lots of movement inside the penalty area. It's like an NFL line of scrimmage. In it comes into the near post. Henderson got half a punch on it. Maatsen at the edge of the area tries to hit it on the half volley, but got underneath it and lofts it over the crossbar. Goal kick, 0-0.
I mean, Tielemans is asking for a penalty here. He's not going to get that in this situation at all. I mean, he just runs into the Palace player centrally there, and then it comes back out. But they're definitely putting it on them now. I think Palace have been the better side in the second half. They'll be quite disappointed they haven't got put one in the back of the net. Apart from that chance when Brennan Johnson puts it across the box, almost fell to Mateta. But I think both sides haven't really created that many opportunities, Dan.
Over on Talksport 2, Fulham retake the lead against 10-man Chelsea. 2-1 at Craven Cottage. 2-2 for Harry Wilson. Scored against his old club Liverpool last time out. Might have just notched the winner for the Cottagers late on there. That's live on Talksport 2. All the games are live with us tonight via the Talksport app. Talksport 2 in this game on Talk Radio, which is entering its last 3.5 minutes of normal time. Still we wait for the deadlock to be broken. Villa have it left-hand corner of the penalty area with Morgan Rogers. Lovely little reverse ball. Buendia into the area, tries to go beyond Cambo to the byline, but Cambo defends that so well. Got himself between man and ball and just let it trickle over the dead ball line, and Leanne Sanderson nods appreciatively. 0-0.
I think Lacroix felt the same as me there. He goes over to Cambo and hits him on the head, chest bumps him, because he knows how meaningful that was. And I spoke about Cambo in the first half. I think at times he gets dragged out of position. I don't think he's been great this season, but this has been, I think, his best performance I've seen him have. He's been excellent in this game tonight.
Yeah, he's put in a shift for Crystal Palace tonight. Of that there is no doubt, in the absence of the concussed Jefferson Lerma. Hughes on halfway for Palace. Finds Johnson. Hughes has it again. Quick flick in field. Pino tries to turn it forward. Johnson knew he was offside and couldn't go for it. Maatsen heads clear, but it will only find a red and blue shirt of Adam Wharton, who nods the header out to the right wing. Devaney tries to play the ball into Brennan Johnson. Shows good strength. Works it back to Adam Wharton. Wharton clips in a left-footed ball, up go the heads. Pino heads it across. Mateta trying to guide it goalwards, and it just goes underneath the crossbar, and a comfortable catch for Bezo, and the chance is gone for Palace. 0-0.
That was really good defending from Bogard, because you could see Mateta looked like he was lining one up to do almost like an overhead kick, and it was really good defending.
We are going to see the Croatian-born Sosa come on for Crystal Palace. Left wing back, left midfielder, joined from Ajax in July. See who he comes on for in just a minute, because we're still, 90 seconds or so away from added time. Don't know how much is going to be added on by Andy Madley. Not a great deal, I would venture.
No, I mean, there was only 1 minute in the first half. Wasn't really much going on in the second half. It's been a little bit spicier, but not really, still not much.
Here's Morgan Rogers drifting infield for Villa. Flicks it to his right for Buendia. Lays it off for Bogard. Buendia has it again. Thought about a shot. Plays it down the right-hand side of the box for Cash. Cash into the near post. Rogers turns and fires over. Claims a corner. Goal kick's been given. Big chance for Morgan Rogers on the swivel. About 7 or 8 yards out. Connected strongly, but it fired over the crossbar for a goal kick.
Yeah, lovely play again. Matty Cash is so good at overlapping. He's always there. And you know what? I know players all appeal to these things, as you do, because you would. But I tend to have to agree with the Villa players that this must have taken a deflection for them to go as crazy as that. And from what I can see, it absolutely did on Mark Gahey. So I can understand why they were so frustrated, because Morgan Rogers swiveled. It was a great strike, made a really good connection, and all day long it was a corner.
So the Croatian Sosa, he's on for Devaney. Although he's a left wing back, he's going to play it right wing back for these last 30 seconds of normal time, plus whatever Andy Maddy wants to add on at the end. Blows his whistle, tells Dean Henderson get on with it with a goal kick, which Henderson now smacks right-footed downfield. Sosa immediately involved, keeping it in play with a header, but Maatsen will pick it up for Aston Villa. Lofts it over halfway, looking for Marlon. Palace deal with it. And now Tyreek Mitchell coming forward. We're about to move into added time. I think it's going to be 3 minutes only of minimum stoppage time at Selhurst Park. That's indeed what's just been held up. Here is Canvo, finds Sosa. Plays it back in his own half. Canvo has to get his skates on to keep it away from Ollie Watkins. Lacroix, under pressure from Buendia, goes back to his keeper Henderson. Left-footed clearance from Henderson, looking for Pino. Cash with a header, drops on halfway for Hughes. He'll leave it for Wharton. What have Palace got left in added time? Can either team snatch all 3 points? Concert rolls the ball back to his keeper Bizot, who'll hit it first time right-footed up to halfway. Watkins goes up for the header, drops for Morgan Rogers, flicks it left for Maatsen. Rogers has gone again down the left-hand side, full of running still. Morgan Rogers tries to nutmeg Canvo, goes down, no foul, and Henderson will pick up the loose ball, 0-0.
Yeah, I don't think that was a foul. Like I said many times, I think the back line of Palace have been excellent. Morgan Rogers hasn't really had much of the ball. When he has had the ball, he's looked good. He just hasn't. They've delayed the ball into him. They've got in and around him.
Now a long ball downfield looking for Brennan Johnson, who's goal side of Maatsen just for the moment. Right hand side of the area. Maatsen sticks to him like glue, and then Johnson pushes him over. Right in front of the assistant on this near side free kick to Aston Villa, 0-0.
Do you know what? I think Brennan Johnson has all the attributes to be a really good winger, but I think at times when he goes 1v1, he almost takes the ball into the player. You know, no fullback or defender will want any winger or any striker running at them at pace. And I think what he does is he tends to run the ball into, and he played into Maatsen's hand there because it was 1v1 in and around the 18-yard box, and he runs straight into him.
Yeah, he wants to be like Luis Suarez used to be, the king of the ricochets for Liverpool. He loved that, didn't he, Suarez? Yeah. Just take it into the opponent and think he can get the better of where the ball bobbles around. So we played nearly 2 minutes to the minimum 3. Villa with one last chance maybe to come forward. Morgan Rogers drifting in from the left-hand side, finds Watkins, shot is deflected, might go out for a corner. Rogers trying to protect it to make sure it does, and indeed it does go out for a corner.
Brilliant block here from Mark Gahey, because I think Ollie Watkins, he opens up. It was hard to tell if it was actually going on target, but you'd fancy Ollie Watkins in that situation. Mark Gahey does so well there to block it.
Jack Grealish has had a second yellow card for Everton. They're down to 9 men against Wolves. It's 1-1, and they made a triple substitution to try and stave off any late challenges from Wolves. That's on the Talksport app right now. Closing stages there at Hill Dickinson Stadium. But here at Selhurst Park, the 3 minutes are nearly up, and Aston Villa have a chance to snatch all 3 points if they can convert this corner kick that Matty Cash is preparing to take. Again, lots of movement from the white shirts inside the box. In it comes from Cash, flashes across the face of goal, and Rogers couldn't get the touch, and it goes behind for a Palace goal kick, and that may well be that at 0-0.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned it about 20 minutes ago when Palace were looking like they had the momentum, dance, that this game wouldn't end 0-0. Unfortunately, seems like I was wrong. I think there's been a little bit more endeavour from both sides. Villa have had most of the possession, which quite surprises me. But at the same time, I think equally both teams have cancelled each other out. They've had a lot of games, a lot of fixtures of late. Ollie Glasner, I think, will be okay with this with regards to the personnel that's available and the run of form that Aston Villa have been in.
Goal kick smacked downfield by Henderson. There goes the full-time whistle here at Selhurst Park. And warm applause around Selhurst Park, even though it's now no win in 8 for Crystal Palace. The players, down to the bare bones in terms of squad numbers, have put in a real heck of a shift to deny Aston Villa the chance to go second in the Premier League table as things stand. Chances were at a premium tonight in South London. Brennan Johnson had a one-on-one opportunity in the first half, denied by Emi Martinez in the Villa goal, who went off injured at half-time. Second half again, chances somewhat at a premium. Rogers with a spin and hit late on for Villa, saw his shot deflected over. Palace tried to create some havoc. Ball across the penalty area from Brennan Johnson, just evaded Jean-Philippe Mateta, sliding it to the far post. Unai Emery makes his way down the tunnel. A few boos from the Palace fans around this main stand. He will be less happy with the point than Oliver Glasner will be, I sense. But it is another point gained on the road for Aston Villa, and if they're not going to be title contenders, if they're top 4 contenders, that will do them quite nicely, Leanne Sanderson.
Yeah, you can tell by Emery there he's absolutely fuming, and I understand that, you know, coming here, a team in 14th, but I think Palace defended really, really well. Like I said, could this be Mark Gahey's last game here? Lacroix, I thought, was excellent again, often in Mark Gahey's shadows, because a lot of people talk about it. I think Lacroix's been excellent for Crystal Palace this season. Mateta didn't really get any service. I think Villa, they've been on a great run of form, but I think, you know, midweek game, coming here is not an easy place to come to.
Well, the Villa players just going across to their supporters in the Arthur Waite to thank them for travelling all the way down to this part of Thornton Heath in South London to cheer on their team, and they had precious little to cheer tonight. Emery rang the changes, brought on Daniel Marlin to try and shake things up front, but he didn't really get involved that much. And for Crystal Palace, we have to mention JD Cambo at the back. You were concerned about him early on from his first couple of touches, which did look nervous, but boy, how he grew into the game for Crystal Palace.
I mean, do you know what, Dan? This is a kid that's like 19 years old. Do you know what I mean? Like, you forget, like, these players are still so young, and at times this season when he has started or when he's come into the game, he has looked a little bit out of position, but at the same time, I think this is the best performance I've seen him have. But he's 19 years old, like...
What a story developing at the Vitality Stadium. Get a load of this. Bournemouth 3, Tottenham 2, and the goal scorer, Antoine Semenyo. Now, I'm so impressed with the professionalism that Antoine Semenyo has shown since it was clear he was moving to Manchester City. There's enough players in this world, Leanne Sanderson, who would have sacked it off, said, no, I'll preserve myself, I don't want to get injured before I move. He's played every game since, and now it looks like he's notched the winner against Spurs.
And I think it shows you, Dan, that we can have some hope that there are players out there that, you know, and transfers can be done the correct way. And I think it's quite nice that he has done that. It's quite admirable, because it's your job. You're a footballer, so you should play when you're being asked to play. But I think at times, you know, players down tools when they're looking for a move, and, you know, this will probably be his last game for Bournemouth. We talk about Mark Gahey's last game. Looks like it's the writings on the wall for him to go to City, and fair play to him. And I think, you know, the fans also get it. You know, there's not been a lot of outside noise. You know, sometimes media, fans can get on players' backs and start booing him, but actually, he showed up every single game since he's been linked. And to be fair, the clause is something that was already in the contract. So he's done well for Bournemouth, and unfortunately, as we've seen with teams like Bournemouth, teams like Brentford, teams like Brighton, the so-called bigger clubs always come along and take their best players.
Food chain very much in operation. Tell you there's a goal at Turf Moor. Manchester United have equalised. Benjamin Sesko.
Fletcher scored. Darren Fletcher scored. Come off the bench. Come off the sideline.
So 1-1 at Turf Moor. Sesko with the equaliser, and it's finished at the Etihad. Manchester City 1, Brighton 1. So Unai Emery will be doubly annoyed.